am the new generation of scary stories. It's time to retire the boring, emotionless voiceovers. With my voice and melody, you will experience the full spectrum of emotions. Subscribe if you like my videos, and also send me your scary stories to my email. And please indicate how you would like me to introduce you in the video. Good luck. About 4 years ago, I was ending my freshman year at college. I had lived in the dorms with a kick-ass roommate and pretty much had a great experience altogether. Towards the end of my last semester, something seemed different in my hall of the dorms. We were all still our lively selves, but just walking into the dorms would give you this massive feeling of dread. We all wrote it off as the stress of finals approaching, but it just felt off. Well, one night after studying, I decide to hit the shower so I can just wake up and make my way to class in a few hours. Before I keep going, I should go ahead and set the layout of our hall and the bathroom. Our hall was one of many halls on a single floor. Each hall had 4 rooms that accommodated 2 people each, or a single room for the RAs. The entrance to the halls were massive steel doors with a small window located at one end, and across from it was the bathroom. It seriously felt like a prison block rather than a living quarter for college students. As for the bathroom itself, when you walked in, you were immediately met with 2 sets of sinks, 2 sinks aside, on your left and right, with massive mirrors facing each other and creating that infinite loop of mirrors. Then past that, you had your 2 urinals and a toilet stall on your left, and 2 showers on your right. When facing the left set of sinks, you can clearly see into the showers from the mirror, if the door is open, and in the right set of sinks, you can see the reflection of the shower. The door of the bathroom was identical to the entrance to the hall, a massive steel frame with a small window that didn't allow for much of a view. With good reason. The door was propped open with a giant wooden wedge that couldn't be moved unless you were really trying to close that door. So back to the story. I'm all alone in the bathroom, gearing up to go shower. I throw my change of clothes on the right side sink, so that way I can reach around the stall and grab them. Once I set my stuff down, I happen to look up into the mirror, and I can see in the distance something almost shimmering inside the shower stall. As I look at it, I notice that it slowly gets closer, like it's jumping from the furthermost layer to the next layer closer. I'm kind of unsettled, but I don't think much of it other than me coming down off of a massive Red Bull, Adderall, and caffeine kick. But it starts transitioning faster. As it gets closer, I can start making out details, but nothing vivid or striking. It's just a dark mass that looks like it's covered in hair. At this point, I'm freaking out hardcore since this thing is getting closer in the mirror, and I'm pretty much frozen to this one spot. As it gets to the 4th layer, I get the closest look at this thing I'll ever get, and I regret every minute of it. It wasn't hair, but some kind of long flowing veil. You could see through it partially, but from the torso down, it was just solid black. And the face, I can't describe it. It was clearly human, but at the same time, it was so far removed. There were eyes, they were black, but definitely glowing somehow. I only saw this for maybe a second at the most, but it's burned into my mind forever. Then the lights cut out, and I hear the door slam. It's pitch black in the bathroom, so I can't see this thing anymore. I go to open the door, but it won't budge. And then this intense smell of blood hits me out of nowhere, and that's all I remember. I woke up later in the hospital. From what my RA claims, he was on his way to go use the bathroom sometime after this happened, where he found me in the shower stall with my shirt covered in blood from a massive nosebleed. He tried asking me what happened, and according to him, all I could respond with was, "It saw me," and I start freaking out. So he calls an ambulance and they get me to the hospital. All the while, I'm apparently freaking out, so they sedate me to get me to calm down. I'm coming to around the time my parents show up, worried sick, of course. I ask them what happened, and according to the doctors, they believe I had a seizure. However, they ran CAT scans soon after I was cooperative enough to do so and found no sign of any seizure occurring. Not to mention epilepsy doesn't run in my family at all, and having taken Adderall countless times in the past, and since then, I've never had a similar side effect, neither hallucinations or potential seizures. To this day, I still can't bring myself to look into a mirror for more than a minute, and just being stuck in a room with one for an extended period will just cause me to break down. I've been to therapy, going on 3 years because of this, and I've talked to countless religious leaders who, besides giving me the general, "Well, you should turn to God in times like these" talks, don't recognize that kind of pattern as anything demonic or evil. And the strangest thing is that before that incident, there were no actual claims of activity in those dorms. And since I left, there hasn't been any either. It was just that one isolated incident. True story time. I was about 4 or 5 years old, and my parents had just separated. My mom was living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I had my own room, but I preferred to sleep in her bed whenever I was staying with her. Our 2 bedrooms were at the end of a hallway, directly across from each other. Our apartment was on the first floor, and I remember that it was in the middle of the summer, and my mom had a window open her room, which was directly behind the bed, above the headboard. Anyways, I woke up in the middle of the night and remember sitting up and seeing that our cat was sitting in the door frame of my mom's room. Her door was open, and you could partially see into my bedroom. This was strange, because our cat was typically always in bed with us. As I was watching him, he walked into my bedroom and meowed. I turned to face my mom and wake her up. In the 3-4 seconds it took her to wake up and ask me what was wrong, we both looked back up in the door frame, and there was a man standing by my open door, making his way out of my bedroom. I still don't know how she managed to do it so quickly, but my mother proceeded to pick me up and literally throw me out of the screen window. Again, we were on the first floor, and it was maybe a 3-foot drop to the ground. She quickly followed, and we were able to start screaming for help, and someone called 911. The police came, but didn't see any signs of forced entry, only that our front door was unlocked, which led them to believe the man must have exited that way. The strange thing was that my mom swore up and down that she had locked the door that night with the deadbolt and chain lock. About a week later, she was cleaning the kitchen and opened up our water heater closet and found a notebook with names and drawings, as well as a pair of gloves and some gum wrappers. The police were called again, but all they could do was speculate that the man had been in our house and hid until we were asleep. Edit. Just to clarify, our apartment was on the ground level, so my mother didn't hurl me into potential paralysis. just a 3-ish foot drop to grass. It's the late 80s, just or early 90s. I was about 6 to 7 years old. I'm sitting at home with my sister, who was 14 to 15 years old at the time. We grew up in a small Texas town where everyone knows everyone. We were home alone that night, and my folks often left my sister to babysit me. Because of the age difference, we always got along. Anyway, it's about 8 p.m. Now, it can get awfully cold in the desert in the winter, so it's dark and we're in the common room, since that's where the TV was. We watch 60 Minutes, or 48 Hours, or Hard Copy, or whatever. Those hour-long newscasts on CBS that detail major crimes, robberies, kidnappings, and the like. It's basically a dystopian Lifetime series. This story was typical. A guy who lives next door and leads a quiet life breaks into his neighbor's house and kidnaps their young daughter. In our house, the door leading to the backyard was a big glass door in the wall with floor-to-ceiling windows. There is nothing but blackness behind it, unless you have a backlight on. We didn't have one. The front door is on the other side of the room, with a small opening. It's a solid door, so you can't see what's behind it, with a glass storm door on the outside. At about the 45th minute of the show, they talk about the ongoing hunt for this crazy guy, and then bam, 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 bam. The front door bangs like crazy. We jump to our feet and scream like banshees. It's dead silent now. The only lights on in the house are the kitchen, which is down the hall from the common room we were in, and the light from the TV. We started to think that something on the porch, we had some saplings and a rocking chair standing there, had just hit the door. This was West Texas. The winds there are insanely strong. A minute or two of silence, and we hug each other after an adrenaline overdose. And then, just as we're ready to announce that we're okay, we hear the storm door on the outside of our front door close. The horror. Someone had to open that door to bang on it like that. The adrenaline went up. We both froze in the middle of the room on the floor where we were watching TV. My sister crawls over to the TV and turns it off. It was an old TV, so you had to turn a metal dial to turn it off, which happened with a soft think. Now, it is just us in a room dimly lit by the kitchen light down the hall. I do not remember how much time passed with my frozen and my sister still crouched by the now off TV, but we kept making eye contact, then looking at the front door. I remember this part vividly. I am on my knees, sitting on my feet, and I turn around to look at the back wall of windows and glass door. We hear, and I see the back door knob turn. It was locked on the knob, but not deadbolted. It rattles slightly, as if someone is gently trying the handle. Neither of us make a sound, just held breath. Then, bam, 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 bam loud, as all hell, someone is trying to force the door open, just jerking it back and forth. The whole wall of windows is vibrating violently, and I can see with each jerk of the door how my slight reflection gets fuzzy, then clear, then fuzzy. My sister goes into a stupor and screams bloody murder. I'm frozen like this on the floor. She gets up and practically drags me into her bedroom, slams the door shut, throws the mattress, and whatever she can in front of the door. Thankfully, she remembered her cell phone, one of those ungodly, heavy beige plastic portable phones with a long metal antenna. We still needed to dial the sheriff, and in her panic, she hadn't memorized the number. She just hit redial on the phone. It was one of her friends, and she informed them on an intermittent sigh that someone was trying to break into our house and needed to get there right away. I'm curled up on the floor and I can't stop shaking. We don't hear anything else until we see the headlights of my sister's friend and her parents driving up to the house. We never found out who was at the door or why. No sign of what happened except for a couple scuff marks on the bottom of the back door that we couldn't remember if they had been there before or not. Nothing like that has happened to me or her since. But goodness knows, we never forgot to lock the door after that.